Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. I'm Al Levine in our BPTV studio, like I said, wearing our masks, practicing social distancing. I'm here with Chip Hayner and Smoking Jim, if you pan to his chair. He had a flat tire in Mount Lebanon at the AutoZone there, and the AAA guy just came right before the show started. So he's going to make an appearance, we're thinking, about halfway in the show. So we'll see what happens. We've got plenty of sports to talk about because they're going to start seasons, and that's always a good thing. And I'm Al Levine, the talking machine, and I'm going to start with these promotions right off the bat. We'll see what Ethan can do with Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Perfect. 412-831-1900. They're open for service. Give them a call. They're at Hillcrest Shopping Center. Great Italian food, pizzas, hoagies, you name it. And they even have Italian ice. I'm not sure, so check it out. Next up, we end each show in honor of Joey. Joey Fabus died at 9 years old. They started the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, and they're a nonprofit. You can donate your time or money, and they have different events. We're hoping for the 5K 1 mile run, second week of September at Bethel Park High School, where people donate money and they dress up like superheroes, which that's what Joey liked. They've raised over $100,000 in the last 6 years, so they're doing great things to try to find a cure for DIPG, the dreaded brain cancer that killed them. Next up, another nonprofit, the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road, right on the corner with the red trolley. You can't miss it. They've been around there. They've done a brand new roof. They've done windows. They remodeled the place inside. It's a 1910 schoolhouse right there in Bethel Park. It's historic. They put the new bell and the cupola up top this year. A lot of good things are happening with COVID. They do have events, so you have to stay tuned on when they can start up again with their events and different things that they put out there. It's a great library, great historical uniforms, books, and all the yearbooks for almost all the years of Bethel Park. So check it out. Oh, by the way, Reginald's Coffee's there, one of my favorite green tea places. They have takeout service. Check their hours to see when they'll have it. And you can bring a chair and sit on the lawn. There's a nice grassy lawn there. All right, next up, one more nonprofit. Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you, $100 to $5,000 for your group and organization doing great things in Bethel Park. Check it out, bpcf.org, get an application, turn one into us. We'll see when we're going to have meetings. I'm a trustee on the board. When we do have meetings, you can come and appear and plead your case for why you need money and doing great things in Bethel Park. We've given out over $975,000 in 25 years and expect to reach that million mark within the next year. So stay tuned for that. All right, next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. There we go. That's Uncle Sam, and he put my face on there. Tell them Uncle Al Levine, the talking machine, wants you for BPTV. You can be like Ethan. You can be like our intern, Anthony, doing a great job in the console room. And I want you for BPTV to be a volunteer today, 412-831-3304. Tell Dave Cable that Uncle Al sent you. And you can work the cameras in here and when we go on location. And we do our live show every Tuesday night. And they have other shows that they do here in the studio and outside the studio that you can help out. We appreciate anybody that could help. If you're in high school, definitely tune in. We've had kids that started as young as 12 and 13 years old, and they're still doing it. So join the club. Next up, we got a fundraiser that's coming up. We'll put it up there for you. WE21, they're a nonprofit. They have a Love Gumbo thing on August 22nd. Let me check the time again, 2 to 5 p.m. And they're going to be at the Afro-American Musical Institute, 7131 Hamilton Avenue in Homewood. And it's a nice facility. There is even going to be musicians, a band, singers, other people and groups. There's even going to be gumbo available for a certain price. They're supposed to give me those details, so we'll have them before August 22nd. They're going to be doing some Zoom and streaming of this event. We're honored to be filming it, and the people in charge, Dr. Jay and Pam, are world renowned, have been interviewed on international television and radio, and have been interviewed for many years doing great things like they do in the community. So they've combined with We 21, which honors Roberto Clemente and the ideals that he had and what he practiced with teams and people, and just became a legend in Puerto Rico. So check that out, August 22nd. Next up, we have a sponsor of What's on Your Mind, Skeets Service Station at 6103 Route 88. I happened to be there on Monday. They have a little smorgasbord, or they have Bethel Bakery donuts. So Skeets invited me to come out. I told him I'll wear my mask. He said, we'll have Mask Monday. And most of them had no masks, so I stayed outside and ate my donut. But it was a good time there. He does work on anything that runs on gas, and they do some electrical work with some machinery that you use, like hedge trimmers, weed whackers, power drills, and things like that. But anything that runs on gas, cars, trucks, weed whackers, boats, you name it, tractors, they work on it all. So check them out. 724-348-4715. Tell them Al Levine, the Talking Machine, told them to come to Skeets. It's a red, white, and blue station. You can't miss it. Well, he sponsors What's on Your Mind. We normally ask Smoking Jim first. Chip, it's on you. What's on your mind?
Hello. Thank you and good evening, everybody. And I would like to pay homage to the freshly coiffed Alan Levine.
I was going to bring it up on mine, but you got me. Yeah. Thank you.
It's been quite a while. And
5 months.
And I have been bringing it to people's attention every week. But great job, Alan.
Yeah, thank you.
There's several things are on my mind. Last week we brought up mention of the Washington Redskins and the need for them to change their name. And originally when this debate started years ago, I was very firmly against them changing their name. And then, with the way that the world has changed,
recently,
I felt that it was in the best interest of everybody involved to change the name. And, lo and behold, one of the lower forms of life to own a professional franchise, Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington Football Club, that's what Michelle wrote, because their previous name has now been retired. Well, when he realized that he was going to be losing money by his sponsorships, were pulling the plug on him because of the racist nature of the name. He thought about this and wait a minute. When he started reaching into his pocketbook, all of a sudden he started thinking maybe it's a good idea to consider this. And then usually this takes focus groups and years of advertising, input and,
sure.
and so on and so forth. Boy, they changed that real fast when he found out how many billions of dollars he's going to make. When he changes the name and ends up with new hats and merchandise and jerseys and so forth and so on. So, even though Daniel Snyder is doing the right thing, of course he's doing it for all the wrong reasons because, as I said, he's one of the lowest forms of life to own a professional franchise, and he is holding true to form.
I got to butt in on one thing. FedEx sealed the deal when they said they're looking at their sponsorship of the stadium, and that's a multi-million-dollar deal.
Well, here's the thing.
And that kicked it off.
Here's the thing. Daniel Snyder has been letting FedEx Field deteriorate because what he really wants is he wants to move the stadium back downtown in Washington, D.C., and he's going to need the politicians to be able to do that. And without changing the name, the chances of them moving that down there, because that will be a financial windfall for him. And as I said, he's doing the right thing for all the wrong reasons. But
like I always tell people, just follow the money.
Well,
right? Here's a perfect case.
God bless Smoking Jim Frazier, dear friend of mine, and I find every we spend together here entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, and he jokingly says, you know, that football's an essential sport. But, you know, reports are out today that now the NFL and the NFLPA are having negotiations because there really isn't a well thought out plan on how they're going to reopen this. And the fact of the matter is, in most of the United States, the virus is going wild right now. Numbers are going straight through the roof.
I heard it was up to 47 states going up and 3 went down.
Right. And so how is this going to work? And with less than 2 weeks before stadiums open, you've got the city of Houston that's in a crisis situation. The same thing with Miami, and there's professional football franchises in each. And, you know, very dearly, I'm looking forward to baseball starting, you know, and I have this sinking feeling that, you know, the sports are going to start and the plug's going to ultimately end up getting pulled on them, you know. I think the sports that may have the best chance to last the longest are the NHL and the NBA. They're going into quarantine. And already with the NBA players in Orlando, in the state that has the most positive cases of COVID-19 per day,
The last couple of weeks,
you know, in the United States and pretty much in the world, you know, so 2 players already have broke quarantine. And here's what the deal is when they break quarantine. You know, everybody's told about what the risks are and the obligation that they have to their teammates. You break quarantine, you immediately have to quarantine for 10 days, okay?
Yeah.
So you have to quarantine. Now, what's going to happen is the players are going to be fined $50,000 a day for every day they're quarantined and they can't play.
That's a $500,000.
There you go. Now, maybe that will get people's attention and maybe they won't go for takeout or
Or anything.
or anything for that matter. Hockey, believe it or not, as inept as they are trying to promote their sport, I believe have done the best job.
Yeah.
And I think they have made the point perfectly clear about their obligation that each player has to their teammates and about taking everything seriously, not just while they're at the practice facilities,
Right.
but when
It's full
they're
time.
not. They have to
Yeah.
wear masks and everything. That leads me to Major League Baseball. Now, Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be playing a preseason game Saturday night here at PNC Park against the Cleveland Indians. And if that game is televised, I can promise you I will be watching it, okay? Because I miss the game of baseball. But you think about this, and I was talking to Alan about this off the air. You look at some of the states where the virus is just going completely crazy. You got the state of Florida, and has 2 Major League Baseball teams. You got the state of Texas, and that has 2 Major League Baseball teams. You've got the state of California. That's got 5 Major League Baseball teams, plus the state of Arizona. So now you're talking about more than a third of the teams in the league are in some of the hottest spots in around. And how do you bring another team in and all of its people and its equipment into these areas, keep them safe, and be able to play?
No, great
because
point.
well, I believe what's going to happen is games are going to start being played. Players are going to get quarantined. Games are going to have to be canceled. And then what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
You know, because if
Shut
it's a
'em down.
60-game season, everybody has to play 60 games. Well,
Right.
what if they can't play 60 games?
Right.
Same thing with the NFL. How is the NFL going to be fair? Because, say, for example, the Steelers are playing the Baltimore Ravens, okay? And what's at stake is a playoff spot or a tiebreaker for a playoff spot. And Ben
It
tests,
all means something.
and Ben tests positive, and he has to be quarantined.
Yeah.
How is that? How is that going to be fair? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered before they can go ahead and start doing this, and nobody's got any answers for them. And it doesn't seem like anybody has a real plan on how this is all going to work out. So
I've wondered the same thing, Chip.
I am hopeful, but I am not very optimistic at this point.
Right.
But that's what's on my mind.
Well, thank you, because Smoking Jim just appeared out of nowhere. He made it quicker than I thought. That little car, you lifted it up and the guy slapped a tire on.
I tell you what, I'll just come in at.
No, what's on your mind?
What's on your mind, my friend?
I'll come in on.
After me.
I'll come in on what is it? Fiction and fact.
Why?
Yeah,
We're available
You don't
for
have
this.
anything on your mind?
I don't have nothing on my
my
mind.
mind.
Everything is fiction and facts today.
Yeah. Did you put that little donut on your car?
All right, long as you're safe, Smoking Jim. That's what we care about. You're safe. What's on my mind is Penguin Camp opened up, and I'm thinking awful positive about the team because there's something unusual. You're going to have a healthy Letang, a healthy Crosby, and guess what? Gensel's recovered from his almost season-ending injury. So you got healthy players. Jari was playing lights out most of the season. He come down a little bit, but he still played well. Murray improved from whatever he goes through during the season. And guess what? In his young career, he thrives in playoffs. So I'm excited about it. And then the other reason I'm excited is for some unknown reason, we're one of the greatest countries in the world in most everything, and now we've added we're the most #1 country in the world for COVID. So I'm not proud of that. We're wearing masks here. We're practicing social distancing, and we've been doing a show for over 4 weeks now, and we haven't really had a problem because we've been able to hear fiction and fact from Smoking Jim. We've heard Chip go off on a couple tangents, things. I went crazy on the Bubba Wallace thing on politics because I'm still appalled by the politics that was brought to a guy who was an innocent man, Bubba, and the only black man in NASCAR. So I'll leave that alone. And he didn't create a hoax. I'll specify that again on air. And he wasn't talking about a hate crime, never did. And the FBI investigated and found none. So for the President of the United States to get himself involved, which he does with 68 million followers on Twitter, it's absurd. I've never heard of anything like, I actually know morons, and I've never heard them talk like this about a sports figure. So it's shocking to me. We hit a new low, which I'm appalled by, but I'm happy about the start of it, and the reason I went on that little tirade is they're not going to play, Chip, one hockey game in America because of COVID. And they're going to do it in Edmonton and Toronto, 2 Canadian cities.
That's
because
the
of
birthplace of hockey.
Well, that's a good thing. But to me, it's almost become an American sport, hockey, and the old school guard of hockey with fighting and all that, even though Smoking Jim likes it because he's not a hockey fan, just like he's not a baseball fan. He likes the fighting. Fighting should be gone from the sport because I don't even know why it's there. But I'm positive about hockey getting started because the players want to play and the Penguins have the best chance. So I'll make a prediction, Chip. Penguins win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Penguins are actually going to play one preseason game against the interstate rivals,
Right.
Philadelphia Flyers.
Which that'll be good to see what they're capable of
But
doing.
here's the question I have to ask.
Go ahead.
You have one preseason game
Yeah.
against the Philadelphia Flyers. Do you play Sid or do you sit him?
I sit them.
Because if anything, the Flyers are going to want to take him out so that they have a better chance of trying to beat us.
Let me explain something.
he-
Unlike Smoking Jim, I know about this rivalry and how dirty, because if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And they're cheaters like Smoking Jim broadcasts to be. Whether Smoking Jim is or not, I have yet to find anybody that found him playing baseball. So I don't know his real story. But I would sit Sid. Or what I would do is have an injury that they talk about that he has, and they put him on the injury list for that day. So, because the Penguins rarely tell you the truth about injuries.
Any hockey team, they at least have narrowed it down to one half of the body. It's either upper body or lower body.
Which, that's why I didn't mean to pick on the Penguins. It just come up because I'd rather protect
But
Sid.
if it wasn't for Las Vegas, the NFL's injury report would not be so
Hold it.
complete.
The NFL's against gambling, so's baseball, so's hockey.
Tell DraftKings and FanDuel.
How can they help gamblers like Smoking Jim Frazier? This is unheard of. Well, I hope we entertained you. Smoking Jim made it here sooner than I thought. So we're going to come back with Smoking Jim because all he has on his mind which is hard to believe. Fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running on the sideline.
Earlier in that same week, I had a friend who was who had received some anti-Semitic remarks, and in doing that, I had an opportunity to say something to the person that made those remarks, and I didn't do it. I can think back to that morning, and I was getting ready, and I was thinking, am I going to say anything? What should I say? What's the right message to say? And I didn't. And then this happens 2 days later. And I wasn't consciously thinking about that situation whenever I was making the symbol, but I can't help but think that it had some sort of, background
That you
information.
wanted to be
Background,
proactive.
background in the back of my head. It was swirling around there. So I think understanding and being able to recognize hate and then doing something about it. I used to think that it was just enough to, not be racist, not be sexist. Well, I'm not racist, so that doesn't apply to me. Well, you have to stop it. The only way we're going to combat hate is with love. So we need to make sure that our messages, as we interact with people throughout the South Hills and throughout our community and throughout our world.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running on the sideline.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Oh, I had it ready.
got to see Levine.
Yeah, I threw the low fast
I got
one.
all kind of glasses here today.
Yeah, how many
Chipper.
fingers I got up?
He ain't seeing nothing.
But hey, Al Levine, first of all, thanks Ethan for volunteering to come get me. That was very nice of him. And my man Anthony back there, and Al Levine, the talking machine. I must say, your haircut looked excellent, brother.
Oh, thank you.
It
Thank
looked good the other way, but it looked great this way.
you. Were the first one on Facebook to like it because I posted it up, and 1 second later, Smoking Jim Frazier liked it.
I was hoping that would get me a bag of peanuts, but it didn't.
No,
But
because
the
we
one thing-
can't eat in the studio.
Here's something that I just found out today that's true. Hey, you always look good.
He's
Chip.
clean.
Look just like how your
Yeah,
daddy
no,
raised you.
yeah.
That's how your daddy raised you.
I got a haircut too,
Yeah.
in case you didn't
And
notice.
you're
No,
really-
it's
and
been
you're
about
really
the same.
dark. You're
It's
really
about the
dark.
same.
You're
Yes,
really
yeah,
dark.
oh yeah.
And I'm pushing now, and I know you're half Italian. I just found out during my history lesson that there's never been an Italian president. So I want to put an end to that. We got to get an Italian guy in at the White House. I didn't know that. I don't like stuff like
One
that.
disclaimer. People, Smoking Jim's an honest man. He's never voted in any presidential elections ever. So don't let him even talk about politics. And whatever he read or heard, he didn't read it. Somebody told him about it. Okay? So I got to clarify those 2 points. And thank you very much for the haircut. Marianne said to say hi to you.
Well, you know what I found out today?
Again,
Within the last hour, and they say, and it's so true, they say to work on cars today, you almost got to be, because of the computers, you
IT
almost
guy.
got to be an electrical engineer because of the if you want to work on the engine or the transmission or change a tire. So I end up having to call roadside service to come because I don't know how to deal with the computers in the car, man.
my man, there's something called lug nuts. When you take the lug nuts off and you get a jack, the tire, you pull it like this because the lug nuts are off. That's how simple it is.
I was the only brother out there.
I know right where you were.
But can you believe
What?
that the Washington Redskins changed their name? I never thought
Yeah.
that would happen.
Yep.
Chip was here and you missed it, but he talked about all the advertisers pulled out and FedEx was not going to sponsor the stadium anymore.
See, I guess money talks.
It does every time. What do I tell you?
Because if I'm a billionaire, I ain't changing nothing.
But here's the thing. Daniel Schneider did the right thing, but he did it for the wrong reasons.
Good point. Good point. I guess you're right. But hey,
What's on your mind?
I know we don't want to talk politics, and I'm not one, but
You've brought it up twice already.
does Kanye West have a chance? And the only reason I'm saying that is because the two most beautiful women in the world, Anna Nicole Smith and Kim Kardashian. Can we get Kim Kardashian in the White House? How beautiful is that?
Who is this?
You never heard of Anna Nicole Smith?
No, the other person.
Kim Kardashian?
No, the other one.
Kanye West.
I never heard of her.
Okay.
Smoking Jim. Here's why we can't even answer your question because he doesn't have your vote since you don't have a government name that you can say.
Does that answer your question?
But here's my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thank you, Smoking.
I used to go on the Hill District
Where at?
to watch football games. They had a pretty good team, and they had this little thin kid.
What
that nobody-
field?
They used to score six,
What
seven.
field?
What they call them? They call them different fields. Kennard
Okay.
was one of them. And this is before Josh Gibson got that beautiful field built. And so kids can't play nothing but baseball on there. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Look like heaven. You got to go see it one time. Wear your vest. But they had this little
He'll
kid.
have his mask on.
They had this little kid named Deshaun Jackson that used to score from all over the field. And I'm a big proponent, is that a word?
Okay.
That
It's in the dictionary.
all athletes should shut up and dribble, and that includes LeBron James. And here's the reason I say that. Listen, most of these kids are 33 years or younger. You know what I mean? I don't know. Listen, Deshaun Jackson was scheduled to make $11 million this year. Why in the world would you say the name Adolf Hitler and think that's okay? Now, he's apologizing to everybody. He's sitting
Not
down.
really.
He got fined.
Not really, buddy.
He's not?
No, because he made an anti-Semitic remark.
Right.
And he doesn't even understand what it means.
Exactly.
And here's what's a problem I have is everybody's talking about Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. I'm for it, and I'm for all lives matter. And I don't care what color you are, but my heritage is Jewish, so it's so offensive that not one black player criticized him.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they
Who?
did. There
Well, the first day there
players that denounced what he said. Nobody agreed with it, and one of the things that came out of this
I didn't hear that the first day.
is Julian Edelman, and I'm sure that I mean I heard it
Yeah.
through
Well, I wasn't
through the
listening to a
grapevine.
lot of
But-
it. Yeah.
but
Is
it-
Edelman Jewish?
Julian Edelman is
Yeah. I
didn't know
Jewish,
that.
and he
I didn't
reached
know
out to Deshaun Jackson, and he said that he would take him to go visit the Holocaust Museum.
Yes.
So that he could understand what the
What
statement
happened?
he made, why it was offensive. And he said, if you do that with me, I will go to
Black
the
Lives Matter.
a Black History museum to find out what and it's a way of reaching out and helping to
Understand.
cure the ignorance, because it was a sheer lack of knowledge on Deshaun Jackson's part that he didn't realize that he didn't know any better. It doesn't excuse him.
No, he
So you agree with shut up and dribble.
Jim's point is 100%.
Well, I was going to
correct.
give him 200% because he was using it as a lesson for people to learn, which was the opposite of what that was. So it was so far off of what he wanted that he doesn't get it.
Before you try to teach somebody a lesson about anything, you have to understand what it is you're talking about
Right.
to start with.
Yeah.
Just because you're an expert on running curls and post patterns and beating double
Thank you.
coverages, hey, these guys get themselves in trouble all the time. And here's a prime example. Has to be over 20 years ago as I wrap this up to say, because what I say I mean, and I practice what I preach. About over 20 years ago, because I haven't had a job in over 20 years, I used to have to wear a suit on my job. Well, put it this way, I haven't had a job where I had to wear a suit in over 20 years.
Okay.
So I used to like my jewelry, man. I had my diamond ring on. I had my gold Nugget bracelet
You have a
on.
chain?
I had my snakeskin shoes on, and I had my imitation Rolex watch. You still got yours? Remember those imitation Rolex watches?
What size were the leather,
Yeah, they was big.
shoes?
They was big back then.
15s.
They was
15s.
big back then. So I'm in line to vote, although Alavita Takabashi says I don't vote. And
I need proof.
and a beautiful white lady from the Tribune Review comes up to me and says, "Hey, after you vote, we'd like to interview you." And I know that there ain't a black man that can resist a white woman. We all know that. But I had to tell her, I said, "Hey, Alavita," I said, "I'm not qualified." She says, "No, we just want to talk about who you voted for." I'm sorry, I'm not qualified. So I went in, stood around like I usually do, and pulled a lever, came out. And she came up to me again, and she was like, "Hey, can we do that interview?" And I'm like,
No.
"No comment. I'm not qualified." So it's okay not to. If you're not qualified for something, keep your mouth shut, shut up, and dribble. And that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. A kid that I watched before he moved to California to play high school ball, Deshaun Jackson, a kid we couldn't get to Gateway before he moved away.
Yeah.
And he's scheduled to make $11 million this year. I don't think he'll play another down in National Football League. I think Philly will save that $11 million. And at 33, he'll be with Antonio Brown out of football and Dez Bryant.
What a prediction.
And that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my humble segment, Chip's Trivia. And just so everybody knows, and is there anybody that's ever watched our show that does not know my passion for Major League Baseball?
Could you explain it?
So tonight I have a heavy heart. Tonight would have been Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. Unfortunately, the All-Star Game's not being played this year. It was slated to be played at Dodger Stadium. And so it won't be played tonight. So, in memory of the All-Star Game, some trivia regarding the All-Star Game. 90 Major League Baseball games, All-Star games, have been played since the inaugural one in 1933. The American League leads the series with 45 victories. And a 373 to 370 run advantage. 2 games ended in ties. The National League has the longest winning streak of 11 games from 1972 to 1982. The American League held a 13-game unbeaten streak from 1997 to 2009, including a tie in 2002. The American League previously dominated from 1933 to 1949, winning 12 of the first 16. The National League dominated from 1950 to 1987, going 33-8-1, including a stretch from 1963 to 1982 when they won 19 of 20.
Wow.
Since 1988, the American League has dominated, going 24-7-1. In 2018, the American League took their first lead in the series since 1963. The home team has traditionally been the league in which the host franchise plays its games. However, the American League was designated the home team for the 2016 All-Star Game that was played at Petco Park in San Diego, which was home for the National League San Diego Padres. This decision was made following the announcement of Miami as the host for the 2017 All-Star Game, which was the 3rd consecutive year in which the game is hosted in a National League ballpark. The criteria for choosing a venue are subjective. For the most part, cities with new parks and cities who have not hosted the game in a long time or ever tend to get the nod. In the first 2 decades of the game, there were 2 pairs of teams that shared ballparks located in Philadelphia and St. Louis. This led to some shorter than usual gaps between the use of those venues. The Cardinals hosted the game in 1940 and the Browns in 1948. The Athletics hosted the game in 1943 and the Phillies in 1952. A second game was played for 4 seasons from 1959 through 1962. The All-Star Game Most Valuable Player Award was introduced in 1962, and the very first recipient was Maury Wills of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The 2008 game featured the longest All-Star game by time, 4 hours and 50 minutes, and tied for innings at 15 with the 1967 game. Now, thinking back on the original All-Star Game played July 6, 1933, at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Now, thinking about this, I looked back to see how many times the All-Star Game's been played in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask that.
I figured you would. The All-Star Game was played twice at Forbes Field, once in 1944, and the first of 2 games played in 1959.
Wow.
The game was played twice at Three Rivers Stadium. 1974.
We were there.
I was there.
I was
Alan
there,
Levine
too.
was there. I remember we were sitting in the 600 section, and the thing that the image that's burned into my brain, because this is one of the reasons why I never liked going to Three Rivers Stadium for baseball games, is we sat in the 600 section, up even with third base, and I could not see the left fielder. Because our sight lines were blocked, and it was just not a stadium that was conducive to playing baseball. The Pirates hosted the 1994 All-Star Game at Three Rivers Stadium as well.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Jim's fiction and fact stories from the past, we also know that the game was played here at PNC Park in 2006.
I was there.
Yeah.
So 5 times the All-Star Game has been played in the city of Pittsburgh. Twice at Forbes, twice at Three Rivers Stadium, and once at PNC and counting.
Yeah.
So, of all of the sports All-Star games, you've got the Pro Bowl, which I think is a complete farce because it's like
I don't even watch it.
Hey, they should just play flag football because there's no tackling involved. The NHL All-Star Game, there's no defense being played.
I don't watch it.
The scores are 18 to 20. The NBA All-Star Game, nobody's playing defense.
I watch the first 10 minutes.
Each team scores 190 points.
That's why I watch the first 10.
But, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is, of all the All-Star games, there's really not much that changes about the game that's being played at the evening of the All-Star Game as any of the games in the regular season, the postseason, or what have you, because you've got 9 men in the field. Okay, you've got a pitcher, 8 position players. Batter has to come up, and you got to get 27 outs per side. The
Right.
pitchers are trying to get the batters out. The batters are trying to get a hit. It's just the same as any other game.
It's like a pickup game.
And actually, it's more so because these are the best of the best, and everybody wants to show up their
How good they are.
compatriots. So the
Yeah.
adrenaline gets going, and pitcher doesn't pitch more than 1 inning in the All-Star Game, so he can go ahead and let it rip. If he can throw a 103-mile fastball, he's going to let it go. So I'm going to miss it this year, and I hope that baseball has figured this out and is able to play and complete a 60-game schedule. I'm very skeptical.
Well, we'll talk some more about that on the back end.
On the back end.
But I got some trivia on the All-Star Game. I read the Lefty Gomez book, and
Okay.
he was the winning pitcher in the first All-Star Game.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what you read books for, Smoking Jim.
I'll catch the movie, but
I don't know if they're making a movie, but the book's better.
I don't know if it's already changed. But if it hasn't already changed, do you believe that the All-Star Game should not determine home field advantage for the
No,
Bulls?
I absolutely agree that the All-Star Game should not determine home field advantage because this
It
is
never should have.
This is the way that Bud Selig, he did some good things for the game, and he had some real boneheaded plays.
Yes, he did.
Okay,
I'm
and
with
there
you.
is no question about that. I believe the team that should have home field advantage for the World Series is the team with the better record. Okay, and then
Yeah.
if both teams have the same identical record, then you go to common opponents.
No, it's a
you
simple
use
thing.
tiebreaker.
Yeah.
You do tiebreakers, but one of those 2 teams, it should not be determined until the fact that an exhibition game determines who gets home field advantage.
To me, it was ludicrous.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And last one, you called Basilic boneheaded. Mm-hmm. Well, I got a bone to pick with you and Al Levine, the talking machine.
Good.
I come to you guys for my baseball.
Good.
None of you guys told me how good Kurt Flood was. I just thought he was a dime a dozen guy. He was a
No,
pretty
Kurt
good
Flood
player.
was an excellent baseball player, and Kurt Flood is the person who was responsible for getting doing away with the reserve clause. And the reserve clause basically enabled the teams to keep a player under contract for as long as they chose to. And he was the first one, and actually he sacrificed his career for
Yes.
the benefit of all the players that followed after him. Because, you know,
They should all send $1 to him
the reserve clause was,
if he's alive.
you know, the reserve clause was, that's one of the things that opened the doors to free agency in Major League Baseball. And if he isn't in the Hall of Fame, he should be in the Hall of Fame for that.
And Smoking
number
Jim, I
thing,
got a
Daddy.
bone to pick with you. You never asked me about Kurt Flood.
I just thought he was an everyday player.
As-
No, he was
again,
not. No, he
again,
was
you
a Hall of
assumed,
Famer.
No,
you assumed because you're not a baseball fan.
What gave him the
Sorry,
leg to stand
Smokin'.
on to be able to stand up was that he was a star player.
Yeah.
He wasn't your run-of-the-mill guy that you know, like we don't have to listen to him. He was a star player, and he was.
I'm so glad I pulled it out of you guys after 9 years.
You didn't, because you didn't even know who Kurt Flood was. You only learned that from us. And you just thought he was a radical.
I just thought he was a
If I would have mentioned Kurt Flood, you would have said, "Is that something the Mississippi River does?"
Jonestown. His relatives live in Jonestown.
You have the floor, Smoking Jim. Any other questions that are nonsensical that you want to bring up that you think we ignored you? When don't we answer your questions?
So to speak to your point, I know all about Kurt Flood.
I see.
And I second that because I've read about him too, and I followed when he played. Great ball player. And he sacrificed his career and was hated by many.
Yeah, but not any of the players from today. I mean, think about
Most of them don't even know who he is.
Garrett Cole wouldn't have signed a $345 million contract if it wasn't for Kurt Flood.
Well, do you think Trout would have the contract he does?
That's exactly correct.
I bet you most of the players, maybe most baseball, but most basketball and football players never heard of Kurt Flood, and that's a shame.
Well, and because they're not, you know, what he did for baseball didn't happen to the other sports. I mean, look
Yeah.
at with the NFL. When did free agency start in the NFL? It was decades later.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
You have to read about that someday.
They ain't got a movie?
When you have time. When you have time between Bonanza and Gunsmoke.
are you a Marshall Dillon fan?
No, I never heard of it till the pandemic. Now I can't stop watching. I never heard of Guns. I never watched one Gunsmoke. I called Al Levine. I'm like, "There's."
I grew up with
He
it.
heard of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I watched it. I watched when it was in black and white. You're too much,
good
Smoking
show.
Jim. Yeah, thank you.
So
If
there
you
you
have
go.
no further questions, Chip, did you make your last point with your segment? Or?
Yes, I most certainly did.
Okay.
You know, I just wanted to pay tribute to the All-Star game that's not
You
being,
did.
not being played tonight.
Exactly. We
Every
understand.
day at 1 o'clock on my lunch break, I watch Gunsmoke. And
Wow.
What do you take a break from?
He takes a break from
Takes a
relaxing.
break from eating breakfast.
No, from relaxing.
He takes a break from eating breakfast.
Well, he had to stop to see who's open because he said everything's open in Monroeville. So we'll have to check it out. I need 17 witnesses.
What about Bonanza?
Don't get him
He
started
likes
there.
Hoss.
Yeah. Haas is his man. He was on steroids back then. All right. Thank you, Chip Hayner. All right. On location, you know we're limited, like I said. I told you about the Love Gumbo. August 22nd, I got a little sneak on location coming up. Smoking Jim, this is for you. If you were here earlier, I would have told you 7131 Hamilton Avenue, Homewood, Afro-American Musical Institute, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Me and Anthony will be there at 12. And
That's
we're
next
gonna.
week.
Yes, that's why I'm telling you that. It's 3 days after your birthday.
What year?
Is it Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, Yeah, I remember before it was on Tuesday.
Well, he changed it because he didn't want to have us. They were going to have it at 4 o'clock, and I said we have to do a show. So
Okay.
we don't know what kind of delays or things that'll happen. So they're not running a tight ship like I like to run. So I'll change that. So 1 o'clock then, and
Okay,
we'll be
thank you.
filming then. And Anthony agreed to help us. So
All right, thanks, Anthony.
we'll be doing a sneak preview show for the Gumbo, not Jumbo. Our man John Serapere likes Jumbo, so he got me stuck on that. Every time I think of him, he talked about fried bologna sandwiches. And Smoking Jim never had one, but they're good. I could tell, buddy. Sorry. But this will be Gumbo, and they're going to have musicians there. Me and you are going to do some interviews, so we'll split some interview time there. And, I don't care what color they are. You can interview all the white people. I'll interview the black people, since you tell me I know more about black people. So I'll do my best. But other than that, we're looking to that. And then the real show will be on August 22nd. We're going to try to stream it because he has a Zoom. He has like 50 Zoom channels that he's going to have other people adding to the show. We're going to do interviews that show and that day. The one we're going to do Mondays, in case it doesn't go off with the time that it is or something would happen with a glitch, then we'll broadcast that. But that's just a precaution, so he's willing to do it, and I agreed to it, so we'll see what happens with that. And then I got to give Master Zhang a call this week about checking out his facility to see about doing a show there. So that'll be in Wexford coming up sometime in August, hopefully. So we'll see. And a couple other people have asked of us about doing shows, and I got to talk to them. A couple of them have gyms and different things like that. So we've done a few gyms in the past. Look at Jimmy Savetic, who did a couple for him, and Gloria at Gloria's Gym in God's Country, Monroeville. Made it there in a couple shows. So look forward to a couple on locations, and let's see, we're running out of time, but we're going to talk Penguins on the back end, and plus we're going to update you on some sports that we know about, and then there's that essential sport that Chip alluded to before Smoking Jim was here, and we'll talk about the essential sport. We'll be back.
Bethel Park Inline Hockey. It's fast, it's fun, and we want you to play. Inline hockey is just like ice hockey, but no ice, and significantly less expensive and far less of a time commitment. Way less travel than ice hockey, too. The sport is played on a specialized rink at the Bridgeville Rollerplex, RMU Island Sports Complex, Harmerville's Alpha Arena, Hot Shots Indoor Sports Arena, and the Murraysville Sports Zone. Our teams play in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Roller Hockey League, or the PIRHL. Each year, teams from elementary, middle, and high school play a 16-game schedule, plus playoffs, from October through March. Practice one evening a week and games on Saturdays or Sundays. The sport is recognized by the Bethel Park School District, which means student athletes can earn a letter once they reach high school. We play rivals such as Upper St. Clair, Peters Township, Canon-Mac, Pine Richland, North Hills, and so many more. This is no pickup game. You'll need regulation pads, hockey skates, helmets, and the coolest Hawks uniforms around. 2 refs at every game officiate 3 15-minute periods with a running clock. No icing, no offsides, no checking, but this sport will rock you. Registration is coming up, so check out our website at www.bpinlinehockey.com and sign up soon. Let's play!
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV. Whoa, we're back. Hey, we're going to talk Penguins, but first, I want to thank Mary Ann Workman for the haircut. First time in 5 months. Wow. She said, Al, I allotted an hour for your haircut because you told me it was bad. And she goes, we may need more time. So she got it done in under an hour. The owner, Emilio, was happy to see me. And he goes, you're one of the most positive guys. I'm just glad to see you here. Thanks for coming in and being a customer. And I said, you're a positive guy yourself. So I go, could you take a picture before I get my haircut? And that was the picture I posted on Facebook. And then Lisa at the desk is nice. She took a picture of us at the end after the haircut. And I can't believe I got 200 people that liked my photo. So thanks to everybody and fans of Al Levine, the talking machine, and his haircut. I'm truly blessed by God. And it's 10 months and 1 day since my kidney transplant surgery. And
It's
I'm
been
doing
that
great.
long?
Yeah, it's actually 10 months, Smoking Jim. 5 months I didn't have a haircut. 10 months I got a new kidney.
Wow.
So it's truly blessed, and I'm heading for my 1 year anniversary. I got to give a biopsy for that, but all my blood work, kidney function's great. My son Drew's doing fine, so we're both healthy.
When
So
was it? When was
It
it?
was called Lucky Friday the 13th in September.
So it was a month
When you were in the hospital,
month
not-
before your birthday. Huh?
No, it was when you were injured with an unknown walking illness that you said the steroids weren't working. And I said, well, I'll pray for you. And you said, thank you.
I was out the hospital by your birthday, though.
No, that's June 30th. Because I don't know if people remember, but you did give me a birthday present for my birthday on June 30th. And my son just said, when are we using that? I said, Thursday of this week.
Eggplant.
You got it. I'll save one of the little slices for you. So
Eggs
you
don't grow
know.
on a plant.
Well, that's a little bit of the fun we have here. We're honored to be doing a show for you each week and being out here in spite of the crazy times that we live. And I pray for all of you and to be safe and healthy. And I do have to tell you, I want to stay alive, so wear a mask, be kind to other people. And I'm not preaching. We went through this in 1918. I just saw some stats on that. Millions of people died, and a lot of people were like the people that don't want to wear masks, and a lot of them died because of it. And the government had many problems if you read the history of it, Smoking Jim. So even though they were crowded and weren't wearing masks, they were dying much worse than it is today, back in 1918.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and plus World War I was going on at that time too. So
Well, and
we lost
actually-
120,000 dead in World War I, if you needed to know. 120,000. Now wrap your mind around that. We now have 136,000 dead since March. And in a war that lasted 4 years, and we were only in it for a year or so.
A year and a half.
Yeah, we lost 120,000.
Well, I heard something.
Those are some numbers for you.
I heard something. I don't know if he's a doctor, but he was at Bill Boyce's picnic,
Yeah.
and he said that anybody that has COVID or corona, whatever it is,
Both.
even if you die from something else, they say you die from corona. Now, this I'm getting this straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, man. I thought you got it from the other end of the horse, if you ask me.
Well,
Okay.
here's what I'll say. That whatever agenda that people have, they can say whatever they want about it. You know,
And if you'd like me to say it to his face, I'd be happy to.
what's the doctor's name? Do you even remember?
I'm not sure if he's an official doctor, but he
You
reads
know,
a lot of
let me
doctoral.
tell you something. My brother-in-law works in a COVID ward. Okay. Don't believe the rhetoric that people are passing.
The conspiracy stuff.
You know, and you know what? And the theory that it's going to disappear once the election's over. That's another.
Hold it. There's two theories I want to
Steaming
bring
pile.
up. This will apply to black people because I know a lot. Smoking Jim said it doesn't affect black people when it first came out.
what I heard.
I told him, you're wrong.
You did.
And now black and brown people are dying more than anybody else, about 60%.
But that all being said, on a brighter note, Hockey's
Please.
going to start soon. Baseball games will be played this weekend. The Pirates will be playing
Yeah.
the Cleveland Indians. They'll play a game here at PNC
Exhibition.
Park Saturday night. They'll play at Progressive Field on Monday night and back here at PNC Park on Wednesday. And then the Pirates go to St. Louis to start a 3-game series on the 24th with the
Can
St. Louis
fans
Cardinals.
go?
No.
No fans.
No, we still, like California, I'm not sure if you're aware of the hoax, but they're closing down all the bars and restaurants in California.
Well,
PA?
California.
Really?
The
I didn't know
state.
that.
Well, I'm trying to inform you because
Maybe
when you're
Jay-
taking
maybe-
when you're taking a lunch break, I don't know what the heck you're doing. Because
you
you're
can't see anything out of it.
Smoking Jim is blind.
He's steaming them up over here.
He's
My
blind, folks.
So we will have sports. Did anybody pay any attention to any of the sports that were played last weekend?
No.
No.
One of the biggest
Professional
letdowns in the
wrestling.
world was there was a golf tournament at the Memorial Country Club where the tournament will be played this week, which is Jack Nicklaus's home
Yeah.
course. And the game was the golf. The final round of the golf tournament was played, and it was concluded before the live telecast.
No.
So everything that you were watching on television had already been played.
Oh.
The winner had already been determined. It was determined in a playoff. One of the most amazing things that would have been great to watch live
right.
on the 18th hole,
Was
the
done.
first hole of sudden death. The first guy hits in a 50-foot birdie putt.
Oh, my.
Okay. And so the next man up got it on the green. He had a 24-foot birdie putt to tie and go to an extra hole, and he drilled it. But
Did he?
yes, and
like
he carried
that.
it on, and
Wow.
they went through 3 more holes before we finally determined the winner. But we determined the winner after we already knew who the winner was. So why even bother televising it? I mean, if the United States of America is starving for live sports,
And
we
right
put
next
it-
door to you,
and
too.
we put it on tape delay. It was
Yeah.
disgusting.
Go football.
I don't know if they're even going to play football.
They'll play.
The Players Association and the owners are trying to get together to see what the actual game
They're
plan
talking
is.
right now about pushing back the start of training camps.
Hey,
Yeah.
who cares about that? If they don't want to play, we'll get scabs in there. We'll have football.
Wow, Smoking Jim has spoken. No, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Like I said, I'm pumped up about the Penguins, and I love that they're playing in Canada, and they will win a Stanley Cup this year. Everybody's healthy. That's what counts. And Murray's a money player in the playoffs. You may not like him during the season, but I'll take him there. Yeah, understand. Yeah, we know. We're still talking a little bit. Thank you, though. Yeah, we're under that. We're at 38 seconds. We'll be fine. But I'm happy with Penguins. I want to thank Jono for the painting here. It's always a pleasure having Three Rivers Stadium where all those championships were won. And when I was at center field up near the flag, I couldn't see the center fielder at certain times when he was near the wall.
Wow.
How about that, Chip? That's how bad it was there. I couldn't see the center fielder. But, hey, that's my story. Glad Smoking Jim made it. He traveled all the way from Monroeville through New Ken to get here. Chip Hayner, thank you for your opinions. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Thank you. Be safe and healthy and stay Joey strong.